Okay, let's go through this probability introduction. So, when the number of outcomes of an experiment are equally likely, the probability of an event occurring is the number of outcomes that are favorable to that event over the number of possible outcomes. So, for example, if we were flipping a coin, there are two possible outcomes. So that would go on the bottom. And if we want to know what the chances are to get heads, let's say, there's only one way to get that, so that goes on the top. Okay, and then this could be converted into a percentage or a ratio. So another example, if you roll a 6-sided die, the probability of rolling any number is 16%, 1 over 6. This is actually a typo. This should say about 16%. And then the ratio would be 1 to 6. So let's go through this example together. So at the pet store, May buys 100 biscuits for her dog Pig Pop. She buys 75 beef-flavored biscuits, 15 cheese-flavored biscuits, and 10 chicken-flavored biscuits. The clerk puts them all in one bag. When she gets home, May shakes the bag and pulls out one biscuit. What is the probability that May pulls out a cheese-flavored biscuit from the bag? So let's highlight the things that we need to know up here. So she buys 100 in total. She buys 75 beef, 15 cheese, and 10 chicken. Okay, so we want to know the probability of her pulling out a cheese-flavored biscuit. So we know that 100 needs to go on the bottom because we have 100 total. And she bought 15 cheese-flavored biscuits, so that goes on the top. So 15 over 100 would be 15%, or, we could say 15 to 100, and then we could actually reduce that a little bit if we wanted to. Both of those are divisible by 5, so it would be 3 to 20. So this could also be written as 3 over 20. Both are okay. So how many different ways could you write this probability? Well, we wrote it in several different ways up there. Then it wants to know, what is the probability of pulling out a beef-flavored biscuit? Okay, so beef, there was 75, so that would be 75 over 100 would be 75%, 75 to 100, etc. We could reduce the ratio in the fraction. What is the probability of pulling out a vegetable-flavored biscuit? Well, there are no vegetable-flavored biscuits, so it is just 0. What is the probability of pulling out a flavored biscuit? Okay, well, they're all flavored, and there's 100 of them, so it would be 100 over 100, which equals 1, which equals 100%. Okay, so here's an example for you to try. So I'm going to give you some spots where you can pause the video to try to find the answer yourself, and then I will give you the answer. So 25 cans of soup were immersed in water. So I'm going to highlight the important bits on the way. 25. Their labels came off, so the cans now look identical. There are 2 cans of chicken soup, 4 cans of celery soup, 5 cans of vegetable soup, 6 cans of mushroom soup, and 8 cans of tomato soup. 1 can is picked and then opened. What is the probability of each event? Write each probability as a ratio, a fraction, and a percent. So what is the probability that the can contains celery soup? So pause the video here, and then we'll go through the answer. Okay, so there are 25 cans total, so that goes on the bottom. Celery soup has 4 cans total. Okay, so 4 over 25, if we put that into a fraction over 100, it's easier for us to figure out the percent without having to use a calculator. So if we multiply this by 4, that would give us 16 over 100, so 16%, or we could do 4 to 25. Okay, the can contains fish. Well, there are no soup that has fish, so it's 0. The can contains celery soup or chicken soup. So in this case, we need to combine those. So I'm going to give you a moment to pause the video here to try to figure it out on your own. Okay, so again, we have 25 in total, and then we have the celery soup and the chicken soup. So we have 4 cans of celery soup and 2 cans of chicken soup. So that means 6 goes on the top. Okay, so same deal. I'm going to turn this into a fraction over 100 just to make it easier to get the percentage. Oops. Perfect. Okay, so then the last question, I forgot to pause about the fish one, but that's okay. The last question, the can contains soup. So pause here and take a moment to write down what you think. So all the cans contain soup, so it would be, fraction 25 over 25, which would equal 1, which equals 100%, and we could also write that as 25 to 25 if we wanted to, or 1 to 1. Okay. So the last part here, it says state which event in part A is certain and which one is impossible. So one moment to take a look at that. Just pause here. Okay, so the event that is certain is that the can contains soup, right? Because they all contain soup. And the one that is impossible is that the can contains fish, because none of the soups have fish. Okay? So now it's your turn to do some practice. So you can go back to this video and use the examples as needed to help.